So yeah, I am on here live. I was on a phone call with Mike, who used to work at one of the, uh, should we say where you used to work or
You
no?
could say at RV Share, sure.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, but so Mike and I were on a phone call. And we were just talking about like the management business and people buying RVs and this, that. And Mike was just starting to share some things with me. I'm like, all right, dude, we got to get you on a Zoom call so other people can watch this because we see a lot in our Facebook groups. People are, hey, what's the best unit for me to buy? I'm buying another unit. I've got 5. I'm buying 5 more. And instantly, like as I was thinking about that, it kind of gave me that flashback of you telling me of that company in Nevada that went under. Do you remember that when I was in
Oh
Vegas with
yeah.
you at that insurance conference?
Yeah, I mean, there's been dozens of them. Like I can think of at least 2 specifically in Las Vegas within the last couple years. Um, so there's the different models, right? So like buying RVs and owning them are great under a couple conditions, right? So if you're a licensed dealer and you can get the RVs at a wholesale rate, that model works well. So that's what you'll see some of like the more established rental dealers and the big companies like Almonte or Cruise,
Yeah.
they're getting them at what, like 30 or 40% below the retail, right? So they can get these, they rent them out for 2 years, and then they can sell them hopefully for around what they paid for it in the beginning, right? But that they can do that is because they're able to get those at the wholesale rate. So when you're paying retail or above retail, especially if you're financing that, you've got to hold on to that RV for a much longer period of time to be able to pay it off. And then, like, as you can probably speak to this, I mean, the environment that we're in, as competitive as this landscape is with RV rentals, the older units don't rent nearly as well as the newer ones. So those large companies that have that model, they only keep those 2 or 3 seasons for a reason, right? So I think
Yeah.
what happens where people get in trouble with buying their inventory up is in owning it is, then now they're kind of stuck with that payment. They're stuck with that RV for much longer than it makes sense to be. That's
Yeah.
what I've noticed. And like the people that have the biggest headaches are the ones that, they've sunk a lot of money into this aging fleet and it rented out great when the new units were new, but now they're gonna have 4 or 5 year old units. And you know what happens with RVs, like they have a short shelf life especially in the rental game. So before they
Yeah.
start falling apart.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too about that is, so yeah, like Almonte, Road Bear, Cruise America, they can purchase factory direct and, they do a run of a couple hundred RVs. The other side of that is they also have their national platform for selling. So
Exactly.
as a Joe Blow owner, if you're going to go and try and exit that RV 2, 3 years down the road now, you don't have a huge lot to put it on. You don't have a website that's getting millions of visitors. You're literally going to Facebook Marketplace or spend a couple $100 and put it on RV Trader. I mean, I still have, so I just sent this RV up to Tennessee, to a branch of ours in Tennessee. I got a 2017 Class C. It's got 130,000 miles on it. I'm basically stuck with that thing. It's in
Right.
my better interest now to just keep it and throw a new engine in it once it's time, because I I I learned that one the hard way, and that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people. That's, unless you're super strict, you take 80% of those earnings, you're paying down the principal, you're charging the right mileage, instead of, kind of like you said, it's with on right now on the platforms, it's almost like a race to the bottom. People are lowering their prices, so then they're giving away mileage and this and that. You're just, if that's the business model you go with and you're purchasing RVs, yeah, the money's great in the short term, but you don't have a good exit strategy, it's going to depreciate. You're setting yourself up for huge issues.
Right. Yeah. And especially if you're counting on the platforms to bring you bookings, because now you're always going to, I mean, and let's face it, everybody's competing against the platforms now, whether you have your own marketing and you drive your own direct rentals or not, you still have to be somewhat in line with the pricing that, the RV shares and the outdoorsy people are running at. And it's impossible to compete with somebody that, hey, I own an RV, I way overpaid for it, I'm upside down on it, I don't want to turn it in or go bankrupt, so I'm just going to rent it out. I'm not using any business metrics to determine the price. I'm renting it out so I can make the payment back each month. So it's impossible for a business to compete with somebody that's not doesn't have business metrics that they're using to price it. They're just needing to get that nut paid off kind of thing. So, and I mean, there are people that make it work. Good friend of mine, Sean out in the LA area, he's one of the more successful operators in the whole country. And he did the model where he owns his inventory. He usually does. What he'll do though to make that work is he'll really shop around to find the best deal. I mean, and he'll go as far as he's bought RVs from Ohio where I'm at and driven them across the country. So that's, you really have to cast a wide net to be looking to make it work like that. So there's exceptions to every rule. It's not to say that you can't do okay, owning your own inventory without being like a dealer. But it's a lot harder and there's a lot more stacked against you. I think you talked about the conference where we've seen each other a few times out in Las Vegas at there's an annual conference that some of the RVRDA dealers put on, and they let average Joes like us come and kind of check it out. But anyway, even those guys will tell you there's really only, if you're going to be in this business, it's either the consignment model or the dealer model, where you're purchasing wholesale and you have a means and a mechanism to sell those units on the back end and be profitable with that. Those are
And
really
does Sean have some of that as far as like, does he have an actual lot with foot traffic and signage and?
He does now. As a matter of fact, just over the last couple of years, he actually transitioned into becoming a dealer. So he wasn't to begin with, but now, I mean, he's seen firsthand what you and I are talking about. You have to have a way to sell those units as they're getting older and kind of flip stuff. So he's like transitioning away from that model. And he's going to go more the traditional, dealer route. So
yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, honestly, I just wanted to touch on those couple of points. Anything else you want to throw out there in this video that we can kind of help educate people with your experience of?
More like I'd like to hear like a little bit about from you, like we all know you're running that consignment model very successfully. Can you give like a couple of like upshots for consignment versus like owned RVs? I mean, there's probably a million of them, but there are a couple.
I mean, for us, it's all the overhead that an RV owner has. Yeah, the payments, the insurance, the storage, the maintenance, the tags, all that overhead that an owner has. In the management model, you don't have that overhead, right. And on the other side of that, too, it's a lot of those activities can be money-making activities. So like a lot of our franchisees, they've got maybe a small lot or they've got some special zoning usage on their property, so they get to collect storage fees. And a lot of our franchisees becomes like a husband-wife model, where the wife is doing the office kind of stuff and cleaning and the husband's doing the repairs. So then all of a sudden it launches into an RV repair shop. I've literally started and sold 2 RV repair businesses out of this business because you just find that need, So not only does it keep your overhead down, it creates other money-making opportunities for you,
So instead of repairs being an obligation or a cost, it becomes a profit center, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And we kind of have this, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm just going to do it because that's what I do. A lot of times too, first we used to get, oh man, an insurance claim, we'd get stressed out about it but then as we grew fleets, we could just move people around into different units. So that wasn't an issue because you all know what that's like. You've got your units about to come back and then it goes out in 2 days or the next day and an awning gets ripped off and now you're freaking out.
Right.
But when you have a fleet, you can move units around. And on the other side of it, if you're doing the repairs, insurance claims are good money. You can put together the whole quote. You might sub out some of the body work and painting and you're, doing this and that, and getting the parts and getting the markup. And, that becomes another money-making activity. So for us, it's a win-win model. And, we're helping people. And we always tell our owners too, hey, this isn't a long-term solution for owners. Put it with us for a season or two, take all that money you're making, pay down your principal, a massive amount, and then sell it. Because like we know, these things are almost like timeshares when we buy them. Sounds like the greatest thing in the world. You're going to use it 4 weeks a year and you end up using it 5 days a year. But you bought into some promotion where you put down $100 and your first payment wasn't for 90 days. And now you're stuck with this payment and you can't sell it for what you owe on it. So the model of renting it for somebody for 1 or 2 years so they can pay down the principal and then selling it for them too as a money-making activity. Mike, I don't know. Do you know what I'm going to quiz you a little bit. Do you know what the fee is for selling an RV on consignment? Like the average fee?
No, what is that? I have no idea.
It's 10 to 15%.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
like if you go to a dealership. So you think about it, like in the real estate world, right? We pay a realtor about 6% usually, give or take. Isn't that crazy? 10 to 15%. So literally over double what a real estate agent charges is the going rate for selling somebody's RV on consignment. So that's another
wild.
huge money-making activity.
Yeah. So it sounds like from start to finish, I mean, there's the consignment model has so many different income streams that are attached to it. Is it hard to find people like the owners that you work with? It seems like there are more and more since like the huge RV run we had COVID where everybody was buying RVs for a couple of years. I'm sure there's no shortage of people that want to get into your consignment program.
Yeah, it's definitely not hard to find people. What really is the hardest part is which thankfully that we've been able to kind of conquer that with being trademarked and registered with the FTC now and being the only franchise opportunity for this industry. It's more credibility because it's such a new idea. So to go to some RV owner and say, hey, why don't you give me your RV? I'm going to rent it out for you. Instantly it's like, hey, that sounds amazing. I've never thought of that. But then it's like, well, who are you though? So to have the credibility of, oh, well, we're Fireside RV. We have 21 locations across the country. And, here's all of our insurance that we have on top of the platform insurance. And here's where we're trademarked with the Federal Trade Commission. And, here's the NASCAR we just sponsored a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that. We were getting calls and emails from all over. Yeah.
Did he win?
I don't know. I don't really follow it. Just some of our franchisees decided they wanted to go in and sponsor this. I don't know if it was Earnhardt Jr. or somebody on his team. I don't know. Anyway, so, that credibility, that's really the biggest piece,
right.
Is that. But as far as people wanting to jump on the opportunity of handing their RV off and making some money, that to them, that's a no-brainer,
Right. I'm sure it's gotten exponentially easier as you've established your brand and your credibility over how many years has it been now? How long have you been doing it?
2016 we started.
Okay.
Sorry, 2016. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
you
started
now for a
2016.
second, 16 years. But no, that's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Well, cool. I'm glad we got to kind of dive into that topic a little bit. I love doing these. I'll talk about this business all day and all night if you give me the chance. So
yeah,
always appreciate to hop on these.
Yeah, we have some great chats, and it's always good to get people that have been in the industry for a while. Even though so everybody knows Mike's not in the industry anymore, he's moved on to what industry are you in now?
Another technology platform.
Okay.
Basically, not going to bore everyone with the details, but
So something
outside of the RV
similar
business.
job role. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Mike was our rep for years, and we met at a conference and hung out, got to know each other. And so, yeah, we always have good talks. And so, yeah, hopefully this information educates you guys. You all see me posting in the Facebook group, don't buy it. OPRV is the way. So hopefully this is a little bit of proof in the pudding instead of me just sitting here preaching to you guys all day to not go out and buy a bunch of RVs. So cool. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your bike ride.